Hello and welcome to the TechGeek Virtual Boardroom on Tech Recruiting Must-Haves in 2023. I'm your host, Sukriti. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Because technology is becoming more advanced and more organizations are implementing it in their daily operations, the demand for tech has never seen a high as much as we see it in these days. That's why creating an effective tech recruiting strategy is a crucial step for recruiters to keep up with the changes and always stay one step ahead of the competition. And 2023 is here, and there are exciting trends that you need to be aware of with the rise of remote hiring and artificial intelligence in the hiring process. The recruitment landscape is changing rapidly. And by understanding the key trends that will actually shape up the entire recruitment industry, you can ensure that you stay ahead of the competition, as I said. And when it comes to finding the best talent for your organization, right? In today's conversation, I have a stellar HR and tech leaders with me who will talk about the top hiring and recruitment trends for 2023 and discuss how we can actually best leverage them for a better success. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Arun, Head of Human Resources, Orion Innovation, Ankit, Patni, Talent Acquisition Head, Quarks, Technosoft, Bensely, Zachariah, Global Head of Human Resources, Fulcrum Digital, Farooq, Mulla, Head of Digital Engineering, Vice President, CitiusTech, and Siva, Kumar, Chief Delivery Officer and Head People and Culture from SecureKloud Technologies. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show, and thank you so much for being a part of this conversation to start with. I would request you to please go ahead, introduce yourself, and give you the opening remarks for this session. Arun, let's begin with you, please.
Thanks, Sukriti. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of this meeting today. Lovely topic to discuss, recruiting, trends in recruiting in the most challenging and the most changing times today. So my background is I head HR for Orion Innovation, Asia Pacific region. Before this, about 18 to 20 years of experience in technology industry, companies like Intel, Incedo. Looking forward to this event along with my learned colleagues.
Thank you, Sukriti, for giving such a wonderful opportunity to connect with such an eminent speakers at the panel. Myself, Ankit Patni, I had talent acquisition with Quarks Technosoft. I have been working in total. I have 14 plus years experience in human resource operations and business and integration. I also thrive at delivering consistent talent to stakeholders. Also have experience of handling roles outside the HR. Personally, I believe my biggest contribution is my people management skills. So basically, currently I've been working with Quarks, a digital transformation firm based out of Noida, and as well as different geographic locations apart from on-site locations. Our expertise lies in making high volume scalable solutions which can reach easily up to millions of people each day. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit. Ben?
Good afternoon, Sukriti. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. Thank you for this opportunity to be part of this topic and this part of this discussion. As Arun mentioned, it's indeed a challenging phase. Ironic to say because 23 has started with a lot of difference from what it was in 22 as far as hiring is concerned. We all read the news and we're aware of what's happening. So I do look after the global human resources for my company, which includes both talent acquisition and talent management. So I have a couple of decades of experience in this industry, have managed almost every sphere of human resources. Happy to be here and looking forward to being a part of this discussion.
Thank you so much, Ben. Farooq?
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Farooq Mulla. I'm the head of digital engineering at CitiusTech, which is a company that provides healthcare technology solutions primarily for the US market. My portfolio spreads across software engineering, cloud, DevOps, mobile, automation, cybersecurity. I've spent about 21 years in the trenches, and I happen to be on both sides of this talent acquisition table. I'm involved in a lot of talent hiring, as well as leveraging them on this new talent to deliver customer success. So I can perhaps talk from both sides of the table for that. I'm very excited to be here to be with this August company, primarily because talent acquisition is a very critical topic for any organization growth. So looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farooq. Siva?
Hi, Sukriti, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I think, I'm based out of Chennai, but I'm traveling. I'm on the East Coast. It's 1:30 in the morning. But I said I'm not going to miss this opportunity. But this is such an important topic, right? And it is the topic of the day. And I think every organization is sort of grappling with it and trying to figure out their solutions. And I think a lot of good ideas will come out of this conversation. I work for SecureKloud, and it's a born in the cloud company. We've been doing cloud and nothing but the cloud for the last 13, 14 years. I have about 3 decades of experience, all in technology and people. And I'm in a very unique position because I hold two positions. One is delivery, the other one is HR. And so I sit on both sides of the table. Depending on which side I sit, I wear that hat. And it's interesting to see both perspectives. And both are right, and both have challenges. And so we try to figure out a common ground so we can be successful. And we'll talk through some of those actions that we do at SecureKloud to sort of overcome some of these challenges. But I think it's a very relevant topic for the day, and I'm glad you're organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siva. And I think this is the right time to kickstart such a conversation because we're going to enter the new financial year, and this is the time when we strategize and we plan things for the new financial year, and just in time when we decide to do things. I'm sure exchanging these thoughts on forums like this help us come out better and probably fix problems by sharing the insights and our experiences that we are actually holding up. So thank you so much, gentlemen, and I would like to start with the questions now. So to begin with, what are the upskilling areas for developers that tech recruiters need to focus on in 2023? So a lot of technological advancement has happened, and it's almost happening every day. What are the areas you think upskilling is required? Because we all know there's a gap that exists, and a lot of organizations are putting force into upskilling. But what are those areas? So let's start with you, Siva.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So as we speak, the shift is happening from an acute talent shortage in the last 1.5 years post-COVID to now measuring productivity of talent. So this is very important market shift that is happening, and all of us, including our recruiting team, should be mindful about the shift that is happening from shortage, where everybody was being hired, to productivity and quality. Yeah. Therefore, upskilling, and the question is very relevant. Upskilling is inevitable, very relevant topic. Let's look why this is important in today's world. The standalone tech expertise are shrinking, and a complete solution which is domain embedded is the need for the hour. So that's what is happening, whether you are in products or whether you are in services. Hence the ability. There are 3 key aspects that I look at it, or I speak to my team members when what can actually derive strength. One is domain. Ability to understand the premise or the context in which you are working. So that's very important. Second is provide end-to-end problem solving capability, which is, in other words, we call it in technology language, your full stack, yeah, rather than standalone end-to-end. Third is ability to weave in data-driven decision making, which is your data science, data analytics, those kind of stuff. So these are the three fundamental asks which has been there for a while, but it has accentuated in today's world. Another non-stoppable change or trend that is there for last several years, but will continue for another 10 more years or plus is cloud. Development in cloud, deployment in cloud, and migration to cloud, and more. So these are the 3-4 aspects which make up today's technology landscape, and therefore key competence in a technology person. So a recruiter should be in a position to understand, ascertain who are the right people, who is focused towards these areas is one of the key outcomes. At Orion, how we are trying to enable this is by creating an ecosystem which drives all these aspects. Because when we talk about upskilling, typically there are a lot of roadblocks which come in. But at our company, what we do is we have mandated 100 learning hours for each person every year. There is a learning charter for each role. There are about 40 to 50 unique roles in the company. And for most of the roles, there is a learning charter. There is platform access like LinkedIn Learning or Udemy, which is given corporate sponsorship. And there is reward mechanism, which ties in with continuous feedback and including some gamification like badges and things like that. So the above steps have really created the right competition, the right social pressure, elevation of upskilling as a need within the company, and therefore we are profiting from it. Keeping all these things in mind, if a recruiter approaches or look at the candidate's competence, one can be successful. That's my take.
Thank you so much, Arun. Ankit, what's your take onto this?
Yeah, sure. So I was also like to make 2 more points, just like where Arun. I want to elaborate those points, which I think. So first thing, like I want to add on in here is like the soft skill part. Like I believe like while technically skills are important, recruiters also need to focus more on the soft skills, such as like communication, problem solving, and collaboration, as these skills are like critical in identifying candidates who can work effectively with the teams and add value to an organization. Another thing which I think that is the employer branding, because recruiter need also to have strong understanding of their organization brand and culture, as well as the ability to communicate like this effectively to potential candidates who are in their pipeline. This includes leveraging like social media, like adding industry standards, industry events, such like this, creating engaging content to attract top talent. And other point which I believe is like diversity and inclusion. Like in today's world, if I see like it including diversify and the global workforce, where all the recruiters need to focus more to build like their team, like inclusive in their team. This includes developing strategies to attract and retain diverse candidates, as well as creating the hiring differently, which promotes like the equity or the fairness. So I believe these are the points which I want to add on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit. Ben?
Yes, actually, as Arun and Ankit had already mentioned, what exactly would we be doing? I perhaps would not get into that part. I would maybe look at how should it be done. For me, like let's say, if you look at it by definition, upskilling is usually regarded as the process of learning new skills so as to ensure that the person performs his duties better, and it's also in alignment with your career advancement. This is what is expected from upskilling. Now, upskilling can happen in both ways. One is for the people who are in already, and then there is people whom we hired from outside, both of whom will have to go through the same process. And everybody knows that possibly a Java developer would definitely go into what is the advanced part of it, or maybe like even go into technologies like a Reactor Wrangler, or possibly get into blockchain and so on. Now, all of this is primarily a path which is outlined from a technology standpoint. But most often we forget what exactly is the requirement from a business standpoint. Arun did cover it when he said domain, technology, and so on. Now, how does that work? Traditionally, we all used to do the same thing. We used to have our TNIs. We used to look at and say, okay, what are the skills that we require for the next year? What's the gradual progression? What is exactly do they need as an upskilling to work with the client and so on? Right now, we progress from that level. And this year, per se, in our organization at Fulcrum Digital, what we're trying to do is try to understand what exactly is the so-called upskilling, which is a natural byproduct of that particular technology that we use, that particular domain that we use, and that particular industry vertical that we are in. Maybe we are in the cards business, maybe we are in a healthcare segment. So wherever we are, not just look at what is required for today, what exactly could be my natural progression for my client? What exactly would be the next level of technology that he has to go in if he is going in this path? One, it could be that we come out with something and, for the smaller clients, say consultatively, this is what it is. This could be a way ahead. These are the things that we have done. These are the type of people that we have upskilled in. And the ones that we bring from outside also are the combination that would work both ways. So that's one way of doing it. The second way is like these, what do you call, the bigger clients would have their technology paths outlined, work with them to understand what exactly is it that they require in the next 2 years. How do I train my internal people? How do I get a Java developer? Because I may not be able to afford a Java developer with 3 or 4 more combinations of skills, languages, whatever he's supposed to use. Though we spoke about full stack, we spoke about what you call getting the right combination. Somewhere at this point of time, it's not easy to get them at the right price. So how do I upskill them based on my business need? Be it, if I'm an insurance provider, what is the insurance providers going to go? Which is the technology way? Which is the domain way? What are the soft skills that they would require to make the business part of it effective? That is what we are looking as far as upskilling is concerned.
Thank you so much, Ben. I think some important insights, all three of you have shared. Farooq, what do you think about this? What are the areas of upskilling that us can see? Yeah.
Sure. So I think everyone has covered some really good points, and I think they're very exhaustive. But let me kind of quickly give you some areas that I definitely believe that resources should take a look at. Cloud being one of them, because cloud is here to stay, and it will be here for a long, long time. And all natural development these days happens on cloud, so resources should have the cloud knowledge. Second is DevOps. A certain amount of DevOps is required for any application development, or even, for example, data ops in case of data management solutions. The third area which I would definitely agree and say is that people should have an understanding of AI. And I don't mean that they have to go and develop new, they don't need to become data scientists, but they need to be aware of how to apply AI in their day-to-day areas, so how they can integrate AI into their applications. At CitiusTech, what we do, and the fourth point, which I should have called out earlier, is that, and which has been repeated, I think, by all the 3 panelists, is that strong domain skills. Now, in the past, what used to happen was we used to have this concept around project mindset, where people would come in, build technologies, solutions on technologies. But now there's a shift towards product mindset, where you're not only measuring on technology, but you're also looking at business outcomes. So the teams that are actually coming in now have to be aware of the nuances of the business, so that whatever solutions that they build have to be relevant for that. So with that in mind, typically what we do at CitiusTech, because we focus on healthcare, we have a lot of healthcare trainings and induction that actually goes on for the first few weeks. We have a strong learning and development platform, which is both classroom-led as well as offline. At the same time, we also have guided learning paths. Now, what we need to be aware is that it has to be adaptive to the situation and the resource in particular, because there's no one size fits all. Different people come with different sets of skills, and the delta that is there that need to be taught on is going to be different. At the same time, the learning has to be bite-sized, because you cannot spend hours and hours every day, because both from a recall perspective as well as from a perspective of being able to utilize it becomes important. And one of the interesting things which was called out was that someone had mentioned that they mandated 100 hours of training. I think that makes a lot of sense, because that's what we also do. We have to tie it to the organization goals, so that you're not only building, you're not only learning, you actually make it a part of the KRA of the individual there. And the last and two things which I'll call out is that you're not only supposed to learn, but you also need to build. Because unless you build it, you'll actually, that all this information gets relapsed at some point in time. And that again brings us to the last part, being a sort of a refresher course that that we actually recommend, because 3 months out of one skill, you can actually forget about it. But you don't want to go through a very long exercise for that. Have a short refresher course so that people can quickly get up to speed with that. Thanks for that question.
Thank you, Farooq. Siva, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I heard from all of you guys, and I think I'll talk about a few things that we do at SecureKloud. But I just want to sort of highlight some of the things that was that I heard from each one. So, for instance, Arun talked about domain being important, right? And I will, in our experience, what we have seen is, in the last 30 years, claims haven't changed. Insurance claims, it's still insurance claims. You pick any domain hasn't moved much, but technology has moved dramatically. So what we do is we focus a lot on technology, and we just support them with the domain expert, right? So we focus less on training all the technology guys on domain, but focus on the technology itself, which is a challenge. So while I agree with you, Arun, I'm just saying, there's a little bit less emphasis on domain, more emphasis on technology. And then Ankit talked about soft skills, right? As you know, it's getting tougher from tier 1 cities, so we go to tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities to hire people, and they're good technology people. The challenge is soft skills. So what we do at SecureKloud is we had them with someone who's senior, who's got good communication skills and everything, and we support them, through that process, rather than saying, everybody should have, good soft skills. Because no matter how much training you give in terms of language and writing and all that stuff, it takes time. It takes time for them to develop and mature, right? But we can't wait. The business can't wait. So we support them with people who are senior, who's got better communication, and we load them with a lot of people from tier 2 cities who are very technically strong but lacking on soft skills. So that's a little bit of a adjustment, Ankit, from what you said. And Ben, I think you talked about the new skills and the skills that are in for people in the organization, people that are coming into the organization. So we have different approaches for each, but I just want to focus on the people coming in, because we're talking about recruitment here, and I'll talk a little bit about what strategies we use. Okay, and I also heard from Farooq about cloud, and we are a cloud company, so that's what we do. So I understand what he said. In terms of the training, practical, and the refresher, absolutely good techniques, and we'll talk about that. So I really want to talk about 4 things that we do at SecureKloud, right? First is we focus on technology, and technology is constantly changing. I mean, we focus heavily on AWS, right? And AWS is sort of releasing at least 4 or 5 services a day, right? So you need to be constantly upgraded on the technology, right? So that's one. The second thing we do is skills, and we talked about, right? It's hard to get a candidate with all the skills you need. So one of the things we do with when we get a requirement is, hey, can you group the skills together, right? So DevOps and all the related DevOps skills, maybe data and all the data skills, right? Maybe automation, all the automation skills, group it together when you give the requirement. Then on top of that, what we tell the delivery directors is, when you give the requirement, out of the group, pick a primary, and the rest should be secondary, right? You can't have it all, right? In reality, I won't get it. First of all, I won't get all the groups. Second, even if I get the groups, I can get only one primary. So we ask them to group the skills, right? And what then we do is we only focusing on hiring someone who has that primary skill in each group, and it's much easier to get that candidate and upskill them on the secondary skills, right? So that's what we do. Third thing we do is the L&D, work very closely with recruiters, right? In some organizations, they're a separate unit, they don't talk to recruiters, but it's a very tightly integrated function, because everything comes under me in terms of L&D and recruitment, I make sure that they talk to each other and prepare the training plans so we can upskill on the secondary skills in that group, right? And then the fourth thing we do is what we call special skills incentive. So we tell people that if you, I hear some echo, but if you train yourself and you get yourself certified and extremely proficient in certain skill, we will incentivize you, and that's actually encourage upskilling internally. What Ben talked about, internal upskilling, right? The last one that we do is sometimes it's hard to get the right people with the right experience. So let's say I'm looking for a 15-year cloud DevOps guy who knows all of these things. I might not get it. But then I could have a guy who's a little junior, who's already got some of those skills, but needs a little bit of a push. So we always encourage N-1 fulfillment. So when we have a lead, we ask them to be fulfilled. So an N-1 has worked very well in SecureKloud. So these are some of the 5 techniques that we use, and I think it resonates with all of the things that you guys said. We've got to try different strategies, the one that works for your organization, for your business.
Thank you so much, Siva. I think a lot of varied insights have been put together in terms of how things can be actually executed, and it's not just about, we're talking about the upskilling areas, but how we can actually work around upskilling our employees. Automation has impacted hiring. Let's just face, automation has in fact impacted a lot of functionalities in our industry these days. But Arun, I would like to know from you that how has automation actually impacted the hiring needs of an organization? And if you think the current trends, the tools that we are looking at that are available in the market are actually meeting the requirements of you tech recruiters who are actually looking out for candidates for the kind of business problem that you have to solve, or maybe the requirement of whatever tech stack you have.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks. So first of all, a disclaimer. I haven't really explored ChatGPT in recruiting yet, so I can't talk about that. But let me talk what I understand through automation in talent acquisition. When I look at automation in recruiting, when I look at the past 20-25 years, right, 20 years rather, there's not been a big disruption that has happened in recruiting. We've been traditionally recruiting through some automated mechanisms, but there have been accentuated, more efficiencies have been built in, more features have been built in, more tech. It has gone really, really tech heavy in recruiting. But a complete disruption, changing the way we have doing business has not really happened. Small changes, certainly yes. And let's look at what those things are. I think there are 3 key areas that I look at when we fundamentally look at the building blocks in recruiting. One is sourcing, second is assessment, and third is the entire recruiting operations. So let me spread out my thoughts across these 3 big pillars in recruiting. When we look at sourcing, certainly the automation trends have impacted pool identification, sourcing strategy, which includes cost. Today, earlier businesses were focused on tier 1 cities, maybe tier 2. Today we are in tier 3 and further below. So what is the right cost to pay? Is there a differentiating factor? Today, all of that is available through analytics, through the right platform if we subscribe to at a click of a button. Earlier, if there is a demand just come from business saying that I need X number of people with Y number of skills, we took a lot of time to get back. Today, running a simple query in most of the popular job portals will give you the candidate repository pool available, what experience, what cost, what kind of notice period are they in. Those kind of things are also available. We can run multiple campaigns through various social platforms, tech platforms that is available, and our online campaign modules across various tools help in running multiple campaigns with marketing teams. The postings across portals have become so easy. One standard template can go to multiple places. All you have to do is click a button. The whole recommendation engine. Now there is debate on how good the recommendation engine is, 40% accuracy, 50% accuracy, but the whole recommendation engine has given the recruiter an added advantage in terms of sourcing time and his or her productivity. Resume parsing, the database building, harvesting of resume. If you have the right, what do you call, TA tool, you can keep harvesting and keep building your database over a period of time. And in the last piece in the sourcing is the talent branding. Earlier, we were in just print media, some of those kind of stuff. But opportunity to do talent branding today is immense because of automation and similar tools. So that is from a sourcing standpoint. Now, when it comes to assessment, that is where we have actually made big strides. Full circle assessments through tech, domain, managerial, behavioral is available today. And I think most of the companies use that, whether to recruit or whether to promote or whether to kind of assess internal talent pool also. So these assessments use AI based to define stuff, or proctoring, automatic questions popping up basis difficulty levels, and so on and so forth, including fraud alerts and things like that. So that's one big area which has created a massive change in terms of our recruiting. For example, if I had to recruit 1,000 people in 4 months, earlier it was a very labor-intensive process. Today it is not. If you can reach about 100,000 people. Now, of course, they need to be interested to apply to us. Then if they happen to apply, you can screen 10,000 people through online assessments. Of course, people should be interested to take assessments, which is also debatable. But all this capability exists. Video-based interview skills, video-based feedback, and AI proctored, capturing the essence of that 45 minutes interview into a 2 minutes module. These are all breakthrough innovation in recruiting industry. Last but not the least, the third tower, which is recruiting operations, is basically where we can see where are we headed to. The whole pyramid or the pipeline, the whole pipeline view of recruiting, matrices that matter, including recruiter productivity, one-click setups, which are basically sending your offer letter, sending your file for BGV, doing the checklist of documents, management reporting. All these things are possible today through a good ATS sitting on your cloud, whatever, and just integrating that with your core HR and the recruiting engine. Just one click, everything is done. So that has really helped to build productivity. People are doing quality work, and it has given organization and the decision makers the right view in terms of what's happening and what decisions need to be done. So to my mind, in short, we are in exciting times here. Each recruiter should embrace this change, which is led by AI and hyper automation. Big disruption has not really happened. All these are tools that has enabled us to recruit. Of course, as we fine-tune these aspects, maybe the whole industry may need lesser and lesser numbers, but this is more meaningful work as we deal with such things. So those are my opening remarks for this.
Thank you so much, Arun. Wherein you've given us a preview of what the entire process looks like and how it has kind of simplified this. Ankit, I would move to you, and I would want to know from you that what are the ways, actually that automation tools, so recruiters can actually keep an eye out to hire developers specifically, because when we, sort of talk of hiring developers, there are so many parameters that one has to adhere to. And there are levels that are there, as Arun was mentioning, if at all people want to take those assessments and put those things in place. So what are the ways you think these automation tools are there and can help you hire developers specifically?
Sure, Sukriti. So basically, like there are several ways, like and automation tools that you can help us to find like and hire developers. And like for an example, there are job boards, like post job openings on the popular job boards like Indeed, Glassdoor, Ambition Box, or LinkedIn. These platforms, like basically what they are doing, they have like built-in candidate search and filtering tools that can help like to find suitable candidates based on their skills, experience, location. And now we have like GitHub also is there, because GitHub is also doing the same thing. Second, which already Arun already have covered, like which is the ATS. So an ATS is also in a software that like automates the recruitment process, like by handling resumes, job posting, candidate screening, like scheduling, and all those things, like the like interview scheduling with the video conferencing or vice versa. Like it identify and sort like through like qualified candidates, streamlining the process. And there are like many good ATS available in the market. Like if we name, like we have Bamboo HR and so many HR like ATS are available in the market. Like the other point which I personally feel is the resume screening tool. So if I talk about these tools, so these tools are like uses like the AI, the artificial intelligence, to scan resumes like in identifying most qualified candidate for the job. Like for an example, such like in such a scenario, we have so many resume screening tools available in the market, like where we have like HireVue or Ideal or TextView. There are so many like tools available in the market. The other thing which I feel personally, the other way is like the social media platform, where we engage like the candidate, where we have the platforms like LinkedIn, GitHub, as I've told you, like Facebook we have, Twitter we have, where we can just post our job postings, identify and source the potential talent. Other way, like you can also join like the developer communities available in the Facebook groups or other social media groups like the LinkedIn or other, where we can easily connect with the candidate. Like you can also use like the artificial intelligence powered like screening tools, which is also available in the market, like HireVue, or we have so many like tools available in the market which also like help us in identifying the social media activity of the candidate who is available online. The other one which I personally believe, which is already linked to the social media, that is the talent marketplace. Like in this, like what I like, there are like various like platform in case of talent marketplace, which is like Upwork, like Top Tool, where we can easily connect with the employers, like with freelance as well as with the freelance and developers also, where we can easily connect with them. And these platforms also have built-in like candidate search and the filtering criteria, like the tools they have, where we can easily find the right talent according to the right skill, experience, years, location. So what we are looking, so we can easily go to the talent marketplace and we can easily find out the right talent. The other one, which I believe is like the coding assessment tools. Like nowadays we have like HackerRank, Code Signal, where we easily like evaluate like the candidates' technical skills by testing their coding abilities. Like, and we have like the pre-built coding challenges that test, and they can give you the candidates programming knowledge, where you can easily find the solving skills, problem solving skills, and all those things. The other one, the last but not the least, which I must say, that is the chatbots. So chatbots or the other screening tools, which I believe is like we have like pre-built chatbots available in our website, in the company website, or maybe in the ATS, where they can easily like chat with the upcoming joiners or upcoming candidate. Maybe we can just initially like screening interviews, ask screening questions, schedule them for the interview, and give them their positive or the negative feedback. And to have the chat box is that in place is to engage the real-time picture, just to engage the candidate with the real-time scenario. And if I talk about the skill assessment, like we have like Plum, Coding Game, and the other tools available in the market, who just assess all the candidates according to the technical skill, or who can judge the candidates through the technical skills. So overall, like these are the automation tools which I believe which can streamline the hiring process and define the way to like developers for the community.
Thanks.
The right.
Thanks, Ankit. I wish I had time to ask about, how these, in terms of functionalities do, but, in the interest of time, I think I'll have to move on with the next question that I have for Ben. Then, there's this strategy put into place while an organization or a team is hiring, which has to be in sync with the business needs. Now, how can organizations actually look at matching the hiring needs as well as the business needs that they are looking for? And how do you think this can be actually, strategized well in order to hire the right fitment for the organization? Ben, I can't hear you.
I was on mute. So
Yes.
my apologies. Yeah. So I was just mentioning that as Ankit and Arun was elaborating about the different tools. Tools are one way to get your work done much easier, much more effective. Of course, towards the end of it, I'll come and deal with some of the problems that, as Arun mentioned, we don't know 50%, 60%, 80%, or even if the tool is good, why some of it is not being used effectively. But coming to your question, how can an organization look at matching the hiring and the business need, and what's the strategy that we use? We perhaps will have to go a little back into our historical model that we did. Traditionally, we used to expect the candidate not just to earn a degree, which was primarily considered then as an indicator to your knowledge and skills, but also to get a job that sequentially supports your degree and then carve a steady career in that particular segment, whichever you've chosen. Now, one of the major shifts during this pandemic was a shift from this traditional form of hiring to a skills-based approach. And this is just one of them. But yes, in the short interest of time, I wouldn't want to go into the details, but in a skills-based approach, like emphasizes a person's skill as a most important determinant of a job success rather than his educational background. In fact, if you look at it, in India, in the first few decades of the IT industry evolution, we actually did a mix out of this, out of sheer necessity when we hired engineering graduates. Mind you, they were engineering graduates, but from all backgrounds and not necessarily from BEIT and software engineers as we call them today. But many of them went on to become the backbone of this industry, be it mechanical engineers and others. However, if you look at it, skill-based hiring is not just an attempt as what people make out to get more non-traditional, non-graduates hires into the technical industry, but I would call it a possible solution to a larger business problem as far as businesses are concerned, of being unable to foster what we call a skill-based culture. Now, skills are normally fungible and transferable, which is what people often forget. And a skill-based hiring involves identifying the specific skills a job requires for the success and screening candidates based on whether they possess that necessary skills or not. This could include both technical, non-technical skills like soft skills, which we already elaborated. Now, what is the method of making it a success? The key to a successful skills-based hiring approach is ensuring that the candidate skills are verified and not simply listed as a line item on a resume. Whatever we call as digital credentials are the ones that we need to verify as a proof of skills. And as we heard Ankit speak about, we do have a lot of hiring tools, coding tests that screen candidates based on these verified credentials. So when somebody says, I'm good at this skill, you can quickly and confidently now narrow down the candidate to see whether he is the best match talent for the role that we have in mind. However, it's not as easy as it sounds, because one of the biggest challenges is that almost 80% of people with experience refuse to take such coding tests. And I'm sure that this is a reality for others too. So you would always be tempted to go back and try out something which perhaps works more efficiently. And this is the same for even your screening candidates. Like if you look at some of the AI-based screening tools that we have, those are ones which can possibly, release, or handle maybe 1,000 people at one time. But we don't get that sort of responses. In fact, like screening, most of the companies usually still use a traditional person to source and screen a candidate, a fit candidate. And the maximum that he possibly would be able to do, a junior recruiter would be able to do, or a junior sourcer would be able to do, is maybe around 8 to 10 qualified resumes by the end of the day, because you still need to talk. I have tried what you call one of those tools to see whether it works. The problem is people do not respond. Maybe like 10, 15% or 20% is the maximum that is a response. So similarly, skill-based hiring also has its own challenges. Job performance will ultimately be impacted by, several key factors, which includes skill set, personality fit, individual motivation, values, and so on. So it's not just doing a screening of skills match would make it successful. Hiring managers should still use a combination of interview questions, validated assessments, and so on to identify who's the best candidate and who's going to perform the best on that particular job. And it's not an easy task, because the pool decreases if the person is experienced, because of mostly, I would say, fear of psychosis. At this age, after so many years of experience, if I go in for a coding test or any sort of skill test, I may or may not, it may not work. So one of the things that we can start, some of the methods in which we can start is, first we have to overall or complete what you call job description concept itself. It has to be skill-based. In interest of time, I wouldn't want to get into the details, but what do you look for from a skill basis perspective from a candidate? What is the role going to be, and what would be the skills required for the role? If you can come out with a description of that, if you can come out with a verification model, maybe like using, as you said, a coding test, an hackathon, anything which would verify that, that would be the first thing. And this is not easy to change from the traditional one to the new age one that we're talking about, because it's not easy. Maybe you can start with 1 or 2 roles where you don't get the right skills or the right skills combination, and hence you have maximum attrition. You could perhaps create a most successful profile set which works as far as your organization is concerned, as far as your business is concerned. Around 15 years back, I tried something similar to look at the behavioral match with somebody from the insurance industry to see who are the guys who could best perform. So creating nowadays, like with the advancements of AI technologies, it's much more easier to understand if I have, like, let's say 10% or 20% of my most successful performers, how do I create a skill profile that works? And how do I check that using one of those AI tools to see, am I getting the right match, be it in soft skills, be it in your technical skills, be it in your value system, all of which is possible using AI tools. But I would say it's still not easy, because after all the screening, after all the coding, people still go back and make mistakes, and that's the reason why people still have a lot of mismatch, infant attrition, a lot of what we call involuntary attrition, which people normally don't record. All of which is because we are not really matching the business need with whatever like the hiring that we do. And all these technologies, all these tools will definitely help us, but it's still a long way for us to accept it and move on to do that. It may be, as Arun said, it's still not brought in a complete disruption, but I hope like in the next couple of years, we will get there the way we would possibly consider it as a natural process to use an ATS in every company today.
Thanks, Ben. Since you mentioned about this whole coding competition hackathons being a part of the, one of the sources of hiring people. So we at TechGeek, we conduct hackathons and coding competitions like very frequently with various companies. Now, what we've done is we have tried and create these developer profiles for the companies, wherein a person's skill score is like automatically generated based on the attempts of hackathon, the way they've performed, and everything is like real time, in those profiles. And in case if companies are looking for a particular set of skills in, maybe a particular fitment, let's just say data scientist or a Java, what we do is we just, provide that set of, profiles to them, so that the entire in-between process of screening and everything is like chucked out, and you can directly pick those people, interview them, and see if they all fulfill your business needs and requirements at all. So, that's a little contribution that we're trying to actually put into this whole world of automation from our end, so that we can minimize the whole task, because I'm sure, as you look up the ladder of hiring, the difficult it becomes, right? Hiring people at an executive level is still easier, but at the leadership level, it becomes a little more difficult. So, and these profiles, of course, are automatically generated once the person sees in the details of themselves. The entire score is like automatically picked up, no matter how many hackathons you've participated, what all your scores have been. So there's a whole set of analytics that is present for the tech leaders and the recruiters to look at. So that is one of the things that we are trying to actually minimize and do from our end. And I'm sure the final decision making as we all speak lies in our hands and not on the automation and the machines that we're talking about.
That's right.
Farooq, I would like to.
Just a one
yes.
second question. Like, what sort of numbers do you do in terms of what percentage of, like, let's say, is it in hundreds, is it in thousands, like the ones that you get to participate in all these hackathons? Because it's one of the practical difficulties that we have had as companies, and that's the reason why I asked. Just without any elaboration, just to get a feel of like what.
I would definitely tell you that. So we have two coding competitions, in a year that we host. One is exclusively for women coders, that is called Geek Goddess, and one is open to all, that is Code Gladiators. So the last year that the participation that we saw was, I think, more than 3.5 lakh people participated in it. And approximately when we came down to the second round and to the finale, I think there were somewhere around 40K people that we had to downsize, and then we sort of filtered them out for the finale. So they register, they participate, they take up the hackathon. Of course, the challenges that are meant to be, and we have certain set of parameters through which they like just go through it, right? And the final, of course, the call is taken up by the company who is putting the challenge for them, and we have an internal coding competition wherein our jury members takes a call according to the performance of the candidate. And since we've been doing this for the past, this year we'll be hosting the 10th edition of our Code Gladiators. So it's been like 10 years for us, pooling in these people, letting them participate. So it's not just about them participating, it's about getting exposure, interacting with people, and getting your hands onto the latest set of technologies the organizations are trying to look at. Because a lot of organizations have also put in their business problems, right, for people to solve, and seed in their ideas in order to solve them. So it's like a huge forum for us wherein we engage with people in different manners. And of course, organizations also get in touch with those people in order to have those ideas seeded in. Some people end up hiring the winners and not the winners as well, in case they like the ideas that they are, sharing during the submissions. So that's how the process normally works. But I think we've seen 2 to 3 lakh people participating almost every year, right? I will now move to Farooq. Farooq, you being the tech leader here, as a tech lead, what would you suggest to meet the demand-supply gap of the tech talent? And do you think, I'm sure you would say yes when I say that it's impacting the business objectives some way or the other when we see this gap in the market?
Sure. Thanks for the question, actually. So let me first quickly tell why are we seeing this gap and why is it so acute in the last few years. So as you know, digital adoption has skyrocketed. Consumers are much more tech savvy, and because of that, the demand for this kind of high performing solutions, both in the B2B and the B2C scenarios, has increased quite a bit. Now, to make it worse or better, I don't know how to put it, software development processes themselves have become much more rapid. So perhaps 10 years back, it should be much more waterfall based. Now it's much more agile, which also means that the release frequencies have changed from a quarter to a quarter or a month now to every 2 weeks or even every day at times. And now the teams themselves are much more leaner and much more nimble. So there's no slack in the system. So typically in the past, what used to happen was that a team of 20 would be running a project. Now the same team size could be roughly around 10 or so. So what that basically means is that now team members have to wear multiple hats and they have to play different roles. And the third part, of course, comes to the point is about this increased adoption of polyglot technologies. And what I mean by that is Uh, uh, in the past, just if you knew one programming language and one database, you were golden. But now it's not the case. Now the teams have to have skills ranging from traditional reporting to AI-driven analytics to cloud to databases to web and mobile applications, microservices, IoT, and whatnot. So things are has kind of has increased manifold. And because of that primary reason, what you see, the job description that you see these days look like, they're looking for a Superman or Superwoman who can take multiple check boxes. Now, how is this impacting businesses? Getting the right skills or the delay in it, has a direct impact on the rollout timeline as well. So projects are getting delayed because of that, or the deliveries are getting delayed because of that. The other side is that if the deliveries are not getting delayed at times, it also can happen that the quality of the solution can also get impacted because you're trying to ramp up at different times during the project. The second area that we also see at times happens because projects happen to be understaffed or under-equipped. It can lead to a lot of stress on the existing team itself because the same team members have to kind of do multiple things. They not only have to learn things on the job, and they have to learn quickly, but they also have to deliver it quickly as well. So that also kind of can lead to a potential burnout at times. So that's the other impact of this. And the third impact, which I had highlighted earlier, was that because teams are being formed ad hoc based on the tech skills alone, it can happen that while they're technically aligned, but they may not be aligned to the business problem itself. So they might miss out the nuances of the business problem, and that can impact the quality of the solution or the customer satisfaction based on that. Now, how to work around this? I think there are a lot of great points which the entire panelists have given us. I'll kind of like to quickly summarize. First is that I think organizations have understood that they cannot get all the skills in one person that they're looking for. So they look at hiring for core skills and upskill the gaps that they are not finding. The second is, as you spoke about, having a strong learning and development program. It has to be both offline as well as classroom based, with customized accelerated learning programs that can help the resources do gradual training and learn on the job. But this also means that the people who are coming in, they also have to be given some time. We cannot expect them to spend 120% on the project and then spend 20% to kind of go and get themselves trained. So that has to be factored in. The third point is about, while you're hiring, focus more on the strong technical foundations, because once you have that and having a good learning attitude, they can learn, they can pick up the rest of the skills. Picking that is not generally the problem. Again, one great point that was called out was, making trainings and certifications part of the employees' KRA, so that it gives them the incentive of upgrading themselves, upskilling themselves. The fifth area which we kind of we work around is have a group of specialists and generalists. So while the majority of the technology talent can be generalist across multiple technologies, you should also have really deep skills in specific technologies, and they can provide the center of excellence or the guidance to the rest of the teams out there. And the last point, which I would like to see to call out, is that even organizations need to understand that they also need to standardize the technology stack as much as possible, so that it kind of prevents this large unmaintainable technology sprawl at times, of where you bring in a lot of exotic technologies. I mean, of course, where there's a need, you need to have them, but as far as possible, you need to also look at rationalizing the sprawl itself. So yeah, so I'll just keep it short because I know we just have about 2 minutes left, so I'll stop at that point. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farooq. I will quickly now move to Siva. So Siva, we've all spoken about the trends. We've all spoken about what all tools we can look at, how it's simplifying things for us. What are the areas, of technology that the developers can look at upskilling? I want to know from you the recruitment marketing trends that the organizations can actually capitalize on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, just from the name itself, marketing plays a massive role in recruitment, and backed up by HR and recruitment teams. There are 5 trends that we see, and I just want to talk through those 5 trends. One is employer branding, and we all talked about it. It's so critical to have the right employer branding, and we, each organization innovates, and what we do is we try to, articulate how we have a hybrid, flexible workplace, which is a very critical item in this day and age. And the other thing is make sure that their employee experience is really good. So, obviously get good Glassdoor ratings because people are checking, how does the company feel like before they actually join. So it's very important that we brand our organization really well. And I think my marketing team does a phenomenal job of doing that, branding. The second thing is inbound recruiting. What I mean by that is, people should be coming to us and say, I want to join your company, rather than us going and saying, hey, can you join our company? And the way to get to that is really, first we need to customize the JD. We're so used to using generic JDs, and it upsets me when I see, the delivery folks just copying and pasting a JD and sending it to me. And I'm thinking, hey, that's not going to work, right? We need to have a customized JD. And also, we have to dumb down things, right? So for instance, right, if you go to our website, right, you will see the amount of stuff that we have put in terms of the high-end stuff that we do, but it's very simple and very engaging. So when a potential candidate looks at your website, right, or your social media, they should be completely energized and want to join your company, right? And I think it's important that we build that excitement, and our marketing team does a fantastic job of articulating that. And I would encourage you guys to just check out our website as well. The third thing is social media recruiting, right? And obviously all of us do it, but I think we have to have a real push because it plays a major role in terms of how we can do marketing. Recruitment marketing, and referrals has been there for, since Stone Age. When they went hunting, the guy will say, hey, I know a guy who can actually throw a spear better. Can I get the guy? So referrals has been there from Stone Age, right? But we have to improvise. So what we have is we have something called a virtual social referral. What that means is, you do your regular referrals, the IJPs and all that, send you, but we want people to do it on social media. So we put all our jobs on social media, on LinkedIn, right, for instance, and we encourage people to get the profiles themselves, rather than saying, send it to careers@securekloud.com, send it to Siva@securekloud.com. By doing that, my whole network gets to see it, right? And then so the whole footprint of that job, referral, is much further than one email from someone sending to Siva saying, hey, here's a friend that's good in DevOps, right? So we encourage that referral program, and we actually encourage all of our people to post all the jobs in social media. The fourth thing we do is a candidate experience. Very, very important. We all talked about it. The better the experience they have, right, from onboarding all the way to exit, right? Even at exit, right? You give them a really good experience, they will definitely come join you, or they will recommend other folks. And I've had so many people who have left us have come back and or recommended people that they know. It's all because of the candidate experience. And again, I know I got some fantastic teams. HR team does a tremendous job of really keeping that engagement going, right? And the second thing we do in that is we have a startup culture, very flat, so the candidates don't feel, suffocated by the org structure, right? So that's very important. You have a flat structure, open comms. And the third part is, good employee communication and engagement, right? And we do that through our HR team. So last one is recruitment analytics. We talked a lot about the tools that are out there, right? But you have to start using those tools, right? You have to start course correcting. And I think that's very, very important, because we can start going down a path and find out, it's not working, course correct. And we've seen that in the other, colleagues talking about this, right? We used to talk about 30-day, 60-day, 90-day notice periods. Now we're talking about, can I get someone at short notice, right? It was a course correction from a recruitment standpoint, right? So those are some of the trends that we are changing in terms of how we do it. Automation is another big thing. I do get reports from my recruitment teams on a weekly basis. How we're doing, how many profiles we're sourcing. Should we look at a different sourcing methodology, and what tools, and ATS obviously plays a very important role in this. And you take the data and analytics. And being a cloud company, right, is we have to eat our own bread, right? So we use our tools for analytics, and we sort of come up with some intelligence which we use in order to make sure that we do it. So those are the 5 things. Repeat again: is employer branding, inbound recruitment, social media recruiting, good employee experience, and analytics. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siva. I think you've enlisted and given us the reasons of using these mediums as well. Thank you so much for that. And we are ahead of time. For all the people who have dropped in your questions, I will write, share these questions with our experts here, and probably when they write back to us, I will share those answers with you, because in the interest of time, we cannot hold on to the Q&A now. But thank you. It was an amazing experience to have this conversation with each one of you, and your insights, your very knowledge of hands-on to the recruitment arena, I think is going to help all of us who are here listening to you. And as we see the industry is changing, it is very important to stay up to date with the latest trends, and that's why we are here for. Right, and by understanding these trends and how will they impact hiring and recruitment, one can be really sure of hiring the best talent for the organization. And of course, as we talk of employer branding, keeping your employees happy and engaged. So, gentlemen, thank you so much once again for being a part of this conversation. Thank you, Ankit. Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Farooq, and thank you, Siva, so much.
Thank you, Sukriti. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, we'll be back with another boardroom tomorrow. Thank you so much. Please stay tuned to TechGig. Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, have a great day. Bye.